All right, let's talk about one of mythology's most terrifying and, frankly, most misunderstood figures, the Mesopotamian demon Pazuzu.
So, here's a thought. What if the deepest, darkest shadow wasn't just a threat? What if it was also the only thing that could actually protect you? Okay, so let's dive right in. The first thing you've got to understand about Pazuzu is that his entire form was meticulously designed. He's what you'd call a composite hybrid, and every single piece of him was built for one reason: to inspire a potent mix of fear, respect, and awe.
It really all starts with that face. I mean, look at it. It's the snarling, ferocious mask of pure rage. But here's the kicker. That look wasn't meant for us humans. It was designed to intimidate other supernatural forces. And those bulging, unblinking eyes, they weren't just for show. They were seen as a weapon, believed to hold a power that could literally stop lesser evils dead in their tracks.
And then you've got his body. It's this bizarre mix of man and beast covered in reptilian scales. Now, in Mesopotamian belief, that links him straight to the underworld, to poison, to all sorts of hidden dangers. And that thin, bony torso, that's not just some artistic choice. It's a walking, talking symbol of the famine, the plague, and the wasting diseases that he was said to bring with him.
Next up, the wings and talons. Those huge, bat-like wings and raptor legs weren't just tacked on. They scream dominion over the air. They make him this predatory force that strikes from above, right? He literally rides the destructive winds he controls and then descends on you with the deadly talons of a bird of prey. It's terrifyingly effective imagery.
And as if all that wasn't enough, he's got a scorpion's tail. I mean, come on. This just brilliantly illustrates that theme of invisible danger. It's not just about the threats you can see coming. It's about that final poisonous sting that gets you when you least expect it. That tail is really the ultimate, deadly punctuation mark on his whole monstrous form. Even the way he stands is completely ambiguous. He's often shown with one hand raised, and you just don't know what it means. Is he warning you to back off, or is he warning something else to back off from you? That single question is absolutely central to figuring out what Pazuzu is all about.
Okay, so let's be real. With an appearance like that, your first thought is pure evil, right? And for the most part, his primary job description seems to back that up. We're not talking about some minor mischievous spirit here.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at his official classification. He's a greater Mesopotamian monstrum, a Type 5 composite destructive force. And get this, he's the son of Hanbabi, who was the literal king of the evil wind demons. So this isn't just a fancy title. This is a pedigree. It's a lineage of pure, raw, uncontrollable chaos.
You have to remember, as the personification of the scorching southwest wind, his powers felt devastatingly real to the people of Mesopotamia. This wasn't just mythology, this was their reality. He brought famine that destroyed their crops, sickness that spread like wildfire, droughts, locusts, you name it. They even said his wind tasted of dust and fever. Just imagine that.
But, and this is a huge but, here comes the twist. This horrifying bringer of suffering, this agent of blight and plague, was also one of their most important protectors. And this is where the story of Pazuzu gets truly fascinating.
See, this is what we call a complex duality. It really challenges our modern black and white ideas of good and evil. The ancient Mesopotamians, they didn't see Pazuzu as just evil. To them, he was more like a powerful, indifferent force of nature. Think of a hurricane or a wildfire. It's not good or evil, it just is. His value wasn't about his morality, it was all about how you could harness his power.
And the way they harnessed that power was through something called apotropaic magic. It's a fancy term for a really simple, powerful idea. You use a terrifying image as a weapon to ward off harm or evil influences. You fight fire with fire. And I mean, let's be honest, can you think of a more frightening image to use as a shield than Pazuzu's?
So this brings up a pretty big question, right? How exactly do you use a monster to fight other monsters? And what, exactly, were they so afraid of that they'd turn to a demon like him for protection?
Well, his number one job as a guardian was to defend against his arch-nemesis, a truly nasty demon named Lamashtu. See, Lamashtu was considered a genuine evil. She specifically targeted the most vulnerable people imaginable, pregnant women and newborn babies. If Pazuzu was an indifferent force of nature, Lamashtu was pure, focused malice, aiming to steal the breath from infants. And this gets us to the core logic of the shield. When Lamashtu would show up at a home that was protected by a Pazuzu amulet, she would flee. Why?
because she was met by a predator more ferocious than herself. It's all about his out-terrorizing presence. You're not asking a good guy for help. You're showing the bully that you've got a much bigger, much scarier bully on your side.
There's this brilliant analogy from the sources that just makes it all click. Think of Pazuzu as a highly venomous snake kept in a cage near your pantry, right? You don't worship it, you don't love it, but you damn well appreciate that its presence scares away the rats. It's not about worshiping chaos, it's about pragmatically using its inherent ferocity to protect yourself from a more immediate threat.
And really, it's this powerful, fascinating paradox that explains why Pazuzu's legacy has lasted for thousands of years. He's evolved from this ancient protective shield into a modern icon of pure terror.
I mean, you can literally trace his journey through history. We start in the first millennium BCE with these little Pazuzu amulets being common household protection in the Neo-Assyrian period. Then, after the empire falls, his characteristics kind of get absorbed into other myths. And then, bam, 1973, the film The Exorcist happens, and his image becomes an absolute icon of supernatural horror. To this day, he pops up everywhere, from horror to comedy, inspiring artists, and even occult practitioners.
So why does he endure? I think ultimately it's because Pazuzu represents a really profound and, let's face it, unsettling truth. He embodies this idea of the necessary evil. He represents the pragmatic courage it takes to confront fear with something even more fearsome. His grotesque form is basically shorthand for ancient evil, and he challenges us to see power not as good or bad, but as a morally neutral tool.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on, doesn't it? What necessary evils do we accept in our own lives for protection? That ancient logic of Pazuzu, harnessing a terrifying force to ward off an even greater danger, it might just be more present in our modern world than we'd like to admit.